Coming up, tragedy in Libya.
These are people trying to better their situation and trying to better their lives for their children and for themselves.
People across the U.S. begin to protest the slave trade in Libya as African migrants are smuggled and auctioned off. Tonight, University of Miami students take action against the injustice.
And the journey to empowerment.
I couldn't handle life anymore.
A dark battle that pushed one student over the edge. After a near-death experience, a University of Miami student struggling with their sexuality seeks help. Tonight, his story of self-love and how he found a home away from home.
Plus,
French, Italian, Portuguese, German.
Some may call it an unusual wardrobe choice, but one University of Miami professor's outfit is turning heads in the classroom without having to say a word.
Coming up, will this nice weather stick around for the weekend? Plus, we'll take a look at the forecast for the ACC Championship game. I'll have that and more ahead in weather. NewsVision starts now.
Live from the UMTV studios, this is NewsVision.
Good evening and welcome to NewsVision. I'm Carlin Dickerson.
And I'm Trayvon Howard. Thank you for joining us.
For years, migrants crossing the Mediterranean have brought with them stories of horror, beatings, kidnappings, even enslavement. Many of them make harrowing journeys from sub-Saharan African countries. Those migrants who do make it to Europe are often too terrified to go on the record about their ordeal. A CNN team traveled to Libya recently to witness the true inhumanity for themselves and to document the slave auctions that take place in the country. On Tuesday, protesters took to the streets outside the Libyan mission in New York City to raise awareness for the growing crisis. The crisis is coming from increased security across European borders, forcing thousands of African migrants back to their home countries. Many of these migrants are forced into holding warehouses, where private smugglers are selling them into slavery. Some Libyan officials have dismissed these reports.
Libya is facing today a large global false media campaign of defamation trying to portray her as a racist country.
Libya says it has launched a government investigation into the slave trade allegations. Meanwhile, the UM's African Student Union is hosting a Taste of Africa event tonight to raise awareness for the humanitarian issues in Africa, including the Libya slave trade. And our reporter Nate Derenbacher is live at the Shalala Student Center. Nate, what exactly is the purpose of this event?
That's right, Carlin. I'm inside the Shalala Student Center where African Student Union members are preparing this Taste of Africa benefit to raise awareness of African culture and humanitarian issues that plague the continent. I'm joined by Antonio, the host of tonight's event. Could you tell me what people can experience?
Well, at tonight's event, people can experience a lot of fun, a lot of great food, and a whole lot of entertainment.
Thank you. Tonight, ASU members will also be collecting donations and connecting with people through cultural music and food. All donations collected will be benefiting children affected by HIV and AIDS in Africa. Members will also be sharing a petition that people can sign to show their support for a formal response to the Libyan slave crisis. Earlier, I had the opportunity to speak to some ASU e-board members who shared their thoughts on the current crisis in Libya.
Was video footage of slave auctions going on in Libya. Black migrants were being sold into slavery for as little as $400.
It's just really sad because these are people trying to better their situation, they're trying to better their lives for their children and for themselves, and people are taking advantage of their vulnerability.
If you'd like to find out more or learn how to get involved, there's still time to head on over to the Shalala Student Center, where this Taste of Africa banquet will be beginning at 8 p.m. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Nathaniel Derenbacher. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Nate. I love to see students fighting for a change in the world. And speaking of change, the Miller Center for Contemporary Judaic Studies just got 5 unique additions to its entrance. They started as small figurines no more than a few inches tall, but today the group of 5 Orthodox rabbis now stand at almost 8 feet tall. Thanks to a generous donation made by the Charlin family, prominent figures in the greater Miami Jewish community. The statues were built and dedicated on the patio outside the center. The figurines symbolize the faith and roots of Judaism.
Rabbis and various instruments which are used in well-known Jewish rituals. The set of the statues together is in a way a reflection of traditional Judaism. It's a beautiful work of art.
It's me. That says it's Carlin. The director also said the figurines stand together just as the Jewish community does.
It's been 7 decades since Israel became an independent state. To mark the occasion, the University of Miami hosted a special event. UMTV reporter Emmy Petit has the details.
50 years ago, the United Nations made a bold decision to recognize Israel as an independent state. The University of Miami's Department of International Studies and Religious Studies partnered with the Consulate General of Israel and an organization called Sephardi Voices to host a forum to mark the occasion. Sephardi Voices is an organization that was founded by Dr. Henry Green to create a voice for Jews who lived in Islamic lands by telling their unheard stories.
It's an audiovisual project to document the testimonies, the stories of those Jews that were displaced from the Middle East in order to celebrate the life of these people and at the same time pass on that heritage to their children and grandchildren as we understand the universal issue of human rights.
According to Sephardi Voices, nearly 950,000 Jews lived in Arabic lands prior to the recognition of Israel. After the UN's decision to recognize the state, they were forced out of those lands under harsh conditions to try to make a home in Israel, an unknown land to many of them.
When the Jews left, society in the Arab world changed. And I don't think it was a change for the better. Because people that have lived there maybe 2,700 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years are leaving their ancestral homes. And a piece of the culture, the heritage of those places is leaving with them. That can never be replaced.
Many attendees of the forum say they felt more aware and passionate about the cause by the end of the event.
It seems as if the conflict is getting better in the Middle East, that there's almost a resolution in sight as long as more awareness is brought to it and people continue to care, like everyone in there.
For UMTV, I'm Emmy Petit.
A truly enlightening look back at history.
No, it's stories like these that help us to remember the importance of independence and justice.
Absolutely. And when we come back, more stories that show the strength of an empowered voice. The shocking termination of a leading anchor in network news. Matt Lauer, fired from the Today Show after allegations of sexual assault. Campus officials react. Hear how they plan to deal with sexual assault on campus. And one student's heartfelt story of acceptance after years of struggling with his sexuality.
Growing up hearing it all the time, like that's me.
How he found himself and a family away from home after the break.
And today is November 30th, which means that it's the end of the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season, and it was a busy one. 17 named tropical cyclones. Out of those 17 storms, 10 developed into hurricanes and 6 were major storms of Category 3 and above. At least 401 fatalities from that storm. As we head to the maps, you can see nothing out in the Atlantic, though there is this front that's moving across the United States. We'll take a look up ahead, coming up ahead rather, if this will affect our weather here in Miami. We'll also take a look if it will affect the ACC championship game in North Carolina. And with the end of the semester coming up, we'll see if you should study inside or outside for your finals. NewsVision will be back right after this.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
One of the most recognizable talents on daytime television has been fired after complaints about inappropriate sexual behavior. NBC has fired longtime anchor Matt Lauer Wednesday morning. The network announced that Lauer was let go after a colleague complained Monday night. Since the announcement, at least 3 women have filed complaints with NBC about Lauer. Lauer has since apologized for his actions in a statement released this morning. NBC has not said yet who will replace Lauer, who had hosted the Today Show for the past 20 years.
The University of Miami has dealt with its own sexual assault cases. Most recently, a alumna has sued the university for Title IX violations. The lawsuit says the university mishandled her complaints of sexual assault and harassment. officials are assuring students their goal is to handle these cases as best as possible.
We improve? I'm sure we can, right? We're not perfect, but we need the community's help to know exactly what areas that people think we can improve upon. Even if they're not necessarily happy with the outcome, at least they can be happy and find comfort in the process was done to the T as we're supposed to as an office.
Holmes also says students who have ideas on how the school can improve its handling of misconduct on campus should email the Dean of Students office at doso@miami.edu.
1 in 5 millennials across the nation identifies as a member of the LGBTQ community, and some are becoming more comfortable with sharing their sexuality with others. UMTV reporter Brianna Ross met with one student whose coming out experience brought both trials and triumphs.
From an early age, Earl Honorado was taught that the word gay was bad.
It really starts early off, like kind of late elementary school, early middle school, when people would go around saying, "Oh, that's so gay." I didn't know what that meant. So for the longest time, I had just equated it with some sort of insult.
But when Earl was in middle school, he realized that the word described his own sexuality.
That's kind of what kind of made me panic a bit, like realizing like, oh, this insult that people have been using for years, growing up hearing it all the time, like that's me.
For years, he kept it a secret, but one day in high school, Earl decided it was time to stop hiding his identity.
The day that I decided that I was going to tell my best friend was also the day that I lost that friend.
Earl continued to lose friends as the news about his sexual orientation spread. His own parents also refused to accept his sexuality.
They told me that I was a failure. My sexuality was this one blemish on their trophy, and that I was now meaningless to them.
He fell into depression, which led to an attempt to take his own life.
The day I decided that, it was kind of, that it was it. I couldn't handle life anymore. I took the pills and kind of went to bed and kind of hope for the best kind of thing.
Earl woke up the next morning, but many like him do not. The Trevor Project is the nation's leading crisis intervention and suicide prevention organization for the LGBTQ community. According to their data, LGBTQ youth are 5 times more likely to try to take their own life than heterosexual youth. LGBTQ youth from highly rejecting families are 8.4 times more likely to have attempted suicide than their peers. For Earl, it was his high school teacher who helped pull him out of his depression. But for many students here on campus, it is Spectrum and the LGBTQ Center that are helpful resources in the coming out process.
The center is here really to empower students, advocate for students. And so what we try to do is provide resources as well as training.
Though the LGBTQ Center offers support to several students, Earl has found his home with UM's LGBTQ student organization, Spectrum.
I feel like my friends that I've made here in Spectrum are the kind of people that I will have for a lifetime. When I joined Spectrum, these were the people who honestly didn't care about my sexual orientation, that it was just another facet of who I am, but in reality, I'm a completely other person besides just that.
Despite the difficulties with broken friendships and family ties, Earl says he has learned to appreciate his coming out experience.
It wasn't the greatest coming out experience, I can say, but I definitely wouldn't have changed it for the world, because it's made me who I am. And I guess I'm a happier me because of it.
For UMTV, I'm Brianna Ross.
Like Earl, many people suffer from depression and suicidal thoughts before and after coming out. If you or someone you know is struggling with the process, visit www.thetrevorproject.org.
Wow, that was such a really impactful story.
I agree. It's really great to see students sharing and being brave enough to share their stories.
I agree. Absolutely. We still have more to get to when we come back. The UM's basketball team was undefeated at home coming off of a loss this past week. We'll take you live to tonight's game.
That, and apparently you can spell undefeated without the U. The University of Miami, that is. We'll tell you about the Hurricanes' huge upset. Don't go away.
Miami, you are clear to take off.
Good to see you back on NewsVision. I'm sports reporter Andrew Blackman. From playing on the field to playing on the courts, Miami Hurricane sports have been all over the country this week, taking on tough competition. Now let's get to it. The UM men's basketball team improved to 6-0 last night with an 86-81 win against 12th-ranked Minnesota. Dwan Huell led the Canes with 23 points. The star-studded backcourt duo of Bruce Brown and Jaquan Newton added a combined 28 points and 14 assists. Miami will look to continue their winning ways Saturday when they take on Princeton at home. Now, the UN women's basketball team started the season with wins against Florida International and Vermont. In their last 4 games, the Canes have gone 2-2, including a close loss to 15th-ranked Maryland at home. The women's team will look to get back on track tonight when they take on Michigan State. UMTV reporter Robin Shapiro is live at the Watsco Center to preview the game tonight. What can you tell us, Robin?
13-12.
Thanks, Andrew. Tonight, the women's basketball team is playing Michigan State in the Big Ten ACC Challenge here at the Watsco Center. The current score is 13-12. The Canes have certainly felt the effects of losing seniors Andrea Motley and Jessica Thomas after graduating last year. The Canes team is different than in years past because they're relying on much younger players this year. Freshman Maika Gray is leading the team with over 17 points per game, and freshman Ndia Banks is third highest scoring with around 7 points per game. The Canes are currently 4-2, but we expect that Coach Katie Meyer will help this young team improve throughout the season. Reporting from the Watsco Center, I'm Robin Shapiro. Now back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Robin. Hopefully the Canes can pull away in the second half. And now we have entered the home stretch in the race for the college football playoff. After a wild Thanksgiving weekend, 2 teams fell out of the top 4 in the most recent ranking. Alabama dropped to 5th after losing to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and the Canes lost a shocker to the unranked Pittsburgh Panthers. Miami now finds itself ranked 7th. Let's show you some highlights from last week's contest. Quarterback Malik Rozier struggled to get the offense going against a strong Pitt defense. He completed only 14 of 34 passes, but did throw 2 touchdowns. The turnover chain made an appearance twice during the game, but the Canes did not convert any of those into points. True freshman quarterback Kenny Pickett shined in his first career start for the Panthers. Not only was he a threat in the passing game, completing 18 of 29 passes for 193 yards, but also ran for 2 touchdowns. After late scores from both sides, the Canes ultimately fell 24-14. Now, despite the loss, Miami will still face off against #1 Clemson this week in the ACC Championship. For the Canes to win, I think this has got to be a lower scoring game. My prediction, Miami 22 and Clemson 19. Make sure to tune into that game at 8 p.m. this Saturday. That's all we have for sports. Now let's toss it over to Tommy with the weather.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, you were just talking about the ACC championship game, so that's where we'll start in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Canes will take on Clemson this weekend. You can see this front that's moving across the United States right now, going through Charlotte right now, bringing some showers. A couple of them severe, however, those will move through tonight and into early tomorrow morning, and it'll leave it a pretty clear day for the game. So we'll quickly take a look at the game day forecast. 1 o'clock in the afternoon when you may start tailgating, temperatures in the mid-50s. As we head further in the afternoon, temperatures stay in the mid-50s, but the sky is clear. You'll get a cloudy start off to the day on Saturday, but those skies will clear as we head towards kickoff time at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, when temperatures will stay in the upper 40s. If you're heading down, or heading up there rather, from Miami, you'll definitely want to bring a jacket or a sweatshirt because temperatures will be pretty chilly during the game. From North Carolina, we'll head back down here towards Miami and we'll take a look at the satellite and radar, where you can see just a few scattered showers moving through in the past couple hours. Nothing really too bad, just a few scattered showers, as you might have seen those as you were walking to and from class today. We'll take a look outside of the studio right now. Temperature 77 degrees, humidity around 70%, making it a little bit uncomfortable to be outside. But still, that'll drop and it'll make it really nice to be outside for the next couple of hours. If we take a look at the temperatures around South Florida, you can see everybody, like us here in Miami, is pretty much sitting in the upper 70s. 78 degrees down in Marathon, 75 in Fort Lauderdale, and 76 degrees in West Palm Beach. Taking a look at the winds, it is a little bit breezy, especially down towards our south in Marathon, where the winds are 16 miles per hour, 7 miles an hour here in Miami, and heading up towards West Palm Beach, winds are 10 miles per hour. Taking a look at the futurecast as we move it through the next couple days, taking a look at Friday, you can see no showers, and as we move it ahead into Saturday, again, no rain, just some cloud cover, and as we move it late into Saturday and into early Sunday, you can see the front that was up towards our north will be staying there, leaving our skies pretty clear with the exception of a few scattered clouds. If you're heading out to the Grove tonight, we'll take a look at that forecast. Temperatures in the mid-70s, no rain in the forecast, so it'll be a pretty nice night to go out. And we'll head forward a little bit more and take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Temperature 79 degrees, may go into the low 80s, scattered clouds and mostly sunny, 10% chance of rain, maybe a few scattered showers, and we'll head and we'll take a look at the 7-day forecast. You can see as we go into this weekend and next week, temperatures in the 80s. The only real chance of rain a little bit Wednesday morning. That's all we have for weather for now. We'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tommy. Glad to see some sun heading our way this weekend.
But before we dive into the weekend, we'll tell you about 2 UM professors who have brought their unique ideas to the university. Stay with us for the details.
This can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hey!
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The Low Art Museum on the Coral Gables campus is not just a place to admire artistic work, it is also one for creating it. Our reporter Morgan Meehan tells us one professor has provided a creative outlet for students.
The University of Miami invites members of the community to the Low Art Museum after hours for the program Sip and Sketch. This program is held every couple of weeks each semester. Members come out to paint, drink wine, and enjoy each other's company. Artist Jackie Gopi, a Miami graduate and retired veteran, helped launch this program about a year ago. When Gopi first began teaching the program, she had to do some research of her own.
And I actually watched on YouTube people doing, I think it's called painting with a twist. I watched a couple people do it and I thought, okay, I know what I'm doing now.
Gopi says the university's goal for this event is to bring people back to the museum after hours. But her goal is a little different.
For me, it's just for people to have fun.
The artist not only wants the members to have fun, but also to get more out of the experience than just learning to paint.
I think this more sort of gives them more relaxation, and they can let loose, and they actually sort of stumble up on painting. And they're more doing it for the activity of just relaxing and enjoying their company. Because most people, it seems like they bring their friends. So it's a group activity.
It was one participant's first time at Sip and Sketch. She was able to get her creative juices flowing and perfect her piece of art.
I walked away with a great painting and some new skills that were polished during this program, and a couple, nice little quick friends that I met here, so it went really well.
That was our reporter Morgan Meehan.
It's not unusual to see people wearing orange and green on campus, but one faculty member has taken it a step further. Our reporter Kelly Saberi is here to introduce us to a professor whose daily ensemble turns heads on campus. Kelly, what's so unusual about him?
Well, Carlin, Dr. Arthur Simon is a proud alumnus and current professor at the University of Miami. I'm taking one of his classes this semester, and I quickly noticed his vibrant and eccentric outfits. And there was one reoccurring item of clothing that I had to learn more about. Political science professor Dr. Arthur Simon wears one of his custom-designed polo shirts to class every day. He says he does it to show collegiality and to support UM.
I also wanted something that would show some individuality. Now, I was an undergraduate here at UM in the 60s. So I thought it would be nice if I could dream up something that had a little bit of a retro look about it.
The first shirt was a single solid color. He eventually moved up to 2 and 3 colors until he created shirts that mirrored the flags of different nations.
We have some countries, of course, where their national flag is red, white, and blue, and they're Spanish-speaking countries. Cuba, most notably, also Dominican Republic, and one more country, United States of America. So I'm trying to communicate a message that Spanish is red, white, and blue, whether it's in America or someplace else.
Students know that when they walk into Professor Arthur Simon's class, they're learning more than just political science. In fact, the message is right on his shirt.
He really cares about his students and making sure that he teaches his students about equal representation and just having fair rights. And you can really tell that by his t-shirts and even like the things he puts in his PowerPoints.
Dr. Jonathan West is the chair of the Department of Political Science and has known Dr. Simon for over a decade.
I have Mandarin words underneath that I think are important because when we look at our graduate program, most of our students are from China. We have students who we're trying to make feel welcome here and to show that we are there for them.
Simon's shirts also reflect the languages of many other countries, including
French, Italian, Portuguese, German, Swedish.
But don't waste your time asking him how many he has.
Although I won't state the number, I will say this. I can very easily go an entire semester without ever wearing the same shirt twice.
Although Dr. Simon also has degrees from Harvard and UM's rival Florida State University, he says you can only have one alma mater and that will always be the U. I'm Kelly Saberi. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kelly. I think I need one of those shirts to wear for the game on Saturday. But where are you going to be watching?
I'm going to be watching the game from the Rat with a big bowl of wings. Let me chow down.
That sounds like a good plan to me. But no matter where you're watching, we hope all of you Hurricanes out there have fun and stay safe.
And that's all the time we have for you tonight. Thanks for watching.
See you next time on NewsVision. Have a good night.